Welcome, race fans, back to Deviant Racing for the season finale here of season 5.1. Top tier of GT World Challenge Racing coming up for you very soon. The GTDPROs on your screen, the top left chart showing the current championship position and proving, of course, that it is still open between at least Captain Eli and Zen at the front of the grid. Glover, some 20 points off the overall score of Captain Eli, and I think something like, what was that, 20 exactly off the with the drop score as well, with Glovas there in third place. Eli's teammate TX is fourth with Chaotica in fifth, Izzy ahead of Facia, Komakopa, Vic Preston and K Morris just 5 points clear at the moment of the relegation line. Thrasser, Junkai and Dirksey look set to be suffering the ignominy of heading into that demotion possibility race. But Sugar Rush Racing lead the championship by 20 points with that drop score taken into account, ahead of Perfect Pace Racing, who've really had this championship to themselves for the first 5 rounds of this 6-round championship. Team Jetstream are third with Team Emzo Motorsports in fourth. Legend Motor Racing in fifth. Liquid Death is our sixth, and Team Crude Awakening lagging somewhat behind this season, unfortunately, out in 7th position. We are in Montreal, Quebec, Canada for the fabulous brand new to Gran Turismo racetrack of Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, named after the famous Canadian racing driver of the 1970s. We have a look at currently Zen tackling this racetrack on his outlap at the moment. Do say hello if you're joining us live. It's great to have you with us and be part of today's broadcast wherever you're watching from, and whoever you are here to cheer on. I just changed the exposure there, thinking that we were starting in the evening. It still looks very much like the daytime at the moment, but I think the shadows are pretty long. Into the hairpin then for Zen, looking for a good slingshot, but it's all about the setup here for, of course, the final chicane and on to the start-finish straight. But we will get there momentarily. Nice clear skies here in North America for the Canadian race today. Zen in towards that final chicane and heading straight for the wall of champions there on the outside, as he plants the throttle, looks to get down on that start finish line as soon as possible, and his lap begins now in towards that tricky braking zone for turn 1. He cut the apex nicely and then into the very slow Virage Senna, which is the turn number 2. A very short shoot before hitting the brakes, then into the blind entry turn 3. You can steal a little bit of apex, as you see, but again another wall that made Sebastian Vettel unstuck in his famous tantrum race on the outside there. And we're all heading already into turn 6. It's a very short track, but this is another reasonably long straightaway, or at least full throttle section of this racetrack before you can see the barrier juts out slightly on the just under the bridge before heading into turn 8 and 9 chicane. Kind of a piff paff, a pretty quick feeling chicane actually, that turn 8 and 9. Then we go down the Kubica straight before heading into the heavy braking through Le Pingle, quite literally the hairpin, before then back on that throttle once again. We will see drivers side by side through that Ipingle corner, I am absolutely certain. And that will represent a pretty good overtaking opportunity if the driver makes a mistake in front, particularly under the bridge there. Heading in back, we'll go straight on at full throttle into the pit lane if we're pitting. Shave the wall of champions as close as you dare, and we're almost then over the line then for Zen's first flying lap. And it will be a 1:38.397. Following him will be TX Speedstars, who goes straight into P1 on a 37.6. Vic in third, a 38.5 on his controller, I believe, with Globus into P2. Here comes Komakopa to go on provisional pole straight away. fantastic performance from Copa. Not often you see him right at the very top of the charts on the first flying lap. Chaotica in 6th usually takes a steady start to proceedings. Izzy straight up into P3 as well. Pretty sure Copa is well up for this one, as Dirksey, who needs to take a really good points haul here today to clear himself away from that relegation zone, goes 10th on his first flying lap. Here comes John Kai ahead of Thrasher on track, as Saito is still in that pit lane, and we will just go over to Thrasher now, who's full throttle on that long straightaway. Copa then with the fastest time so far by a clear 0.3 of a second, a 1:37.360. Great start from Copa, and we'll go have a look at his next lap momentarily. We'll just see Thrasher across the line, last one to complete a lap here, and it's into P10, some 2.8 seconds away from the ultimate fastest currently, which is the Frenchman Copa from just outside of Le Mans in northern France, racing out of Florida though today, and most every day these days. Anyway, down into that final chicane we go. Not named, it's the Wall of Champions on the right hand side now. TX goes slightly quicker than he went before. Here comes Copa then, second flying lap on the trot, and he goes pole for the second time. Copa P1 1:37.273. Here comes Izzy from third position. We saw TX had set his lap. Izzy using the VR system as well. He goes second, so we've got VR drivers first and second. Izzy still, though, 3.5 of a second away from Copa. What news of the likes of Globas and Vic? Looks like the drivers are doing at least, well, no, I was going to say at least 2 push laps, but Globas is on an out lap right now. Vic is currently finishing this one off. We'll drive along with Globas in the low volume Aston Martin here, as we head in towards the right-hander of the Virage Senna. The sun is bright in the sky, but heading down in towards the horizon across that turn 3-4 chicane. Very low grip, as is turn 5 and 6 here. It's an incredibly slow corner, deceptively slow, but you are able to steal some of that apex and then get down on the power once again as early as you possibly can, straightening up this banana-shaped full throttle section before staying away from the barrier on your left, heading into the piff-paff chicane of turns 8 and 9. There's one car in front of Globas that might cause a slight distraction here. Should get an update on his lap as he comes through this section, and he's fastest so far by 78 thousandths of a second, looking for a really smooth exit. That looks an ideal line through there. You don't want to be overcorrecting on throttle around that inconvenient little kink on the exit of Le Pingle. Down the casino straight then. I'm not entirely sure where the casino is, but I have yet to visit Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Heading into that chicane we go, stealing as much of the orange raised Cheeto curb as possible out without touching that that famous wall, and Globas goes third, a personal best, but still 3.5 of a second away from Copa. Faciar though is the one closest to putting up a challenge. What is Copa up to? He's on an outlap right now. We'll ride with Faciar here for Team Liquid Death in the still unchanged Liquid Death livery Mercedes AMG GT3. Good to see the AMG being fully utilised with the GT shaped wheel as well. Keeps that dashboard nice and clear for us when we're riding on board. And round into Le Pingle we go, on board with Faciar. I imagine the soft tyres are pretty worn out right now. But another big hello to everybody joining us live today. Do shout up, let me know who you're here to support, what you're enjoying. We will have an announcement of the safety car lap to come as well shortly, in the gap there, in the break between qualifying and the race. Out of the final chicane we go, with Fassia. It's faster, but only by 0.003 of a second, Fassia. Let's see what Komakopa can do on what will likely be his final flying lap here. Crosses the line with 1 minute 10 seconds left of the official 10 minutes. And hi to Roy Mustang there as well. Good to see you, Roy. Watching live with us. Hard on the throttle we go once again. Globus has gone into provisional pole by 0.3 of a second. That is the target then that Komakopa needs to find. Just 1/10 per sector. We'll get an update. He is 0.5 tenth up so far on his personal best, but he needs to find another 1/4 of a second before he can get that pole position secured. Of course, there are championship point, or is a championship point for that qualifying and that fastest lap in the race. But right now, Komakopa just looking to try and get himself in the best possible position for the start of the race. Out of the chicane, it looked a little bit gentle, but maybe that smoothness is going to pay off. But unfortunately, he's now lost a 1/4 of a second rather than gaining it any further. Looks like this lap, unless there is an absolute miracle through that final chicane, and who would blame Komakopa for just launching the car and hoping it doesn't head straight into the wall. If safety car lap 17, says Saito as he joins us to say le finale aujourd'hui. Absolutely. Send it, send it. Oh, he was still a little bit shy going through. Nothing to lose at this stage. It is guaranteed to be his final lap. I don't think it's going to be any better. And he did gain something, but it wasn't enough in the end. Glovas takes the pole position at this stage, but Izzy has a good slipstream as he goes down that casino straight. I'll keep my eye on everything. Facial's gone into the pits. There is no way he can improve. Izzy is throwing everything at that final chicane as well. Made a gain on the Crude Awakening Exxon car in front of him. Izzy goes into P3 at this stage with a personal best. Absolutely perfect from Izzy in the end there. Looks like TX Chaotica are done qualifying, as is Junkai and Vic. Where is Zen? Second in the championship, Zen. This is far from what he needed in qualifying, but perhaps he is set up for race pace overall. This is Thrasher in P10 at the moment. You've got to expect that he could feature higher than 10th come the race, but what can he do in qualifying as he stretches to the line? It's slower. It's the tyres that are dying off. No one else is able to challenge right now. It's Glovas with a fabulous pole position, 0.5 a second faster than Komakopa there in the Aston Martin. Congratulations to him for a fabulous qualifying position. Getting that pole position there with Komakopa and Izzy. The VR drivers, don't forget, with limited visibility and race information, will be starting right around him. And that is definitely going to be something for him to be thinking about. So here is your qualifying result. Glovas in P1 of 36.765. Right ahead of Komakopa in P2. Then we've got Izzy in P3 with Farciar in 4th, TX in 5th, Chaotica in 6th, Junkai and Vic share the 4th row, followed by Zen and Thrasher. Looks like the RCZ not necessarily the best car to be in here in qualifying trim. K Morris and Dirksey out on row 6, and Saito will be driving the Crown Athlete G safety car. On lap 17. Don't forget the drivers must stay away from the pit lane during the safety car period. We don't want to end up losing cars due to penalties later on. Vic is an Italian driver. I don't know if Vic is home yet and is able to use his rig, or he is still off on his world tour. Last 2 weeks ago, Vic was racing on a controller and struggling from his high standards. So it is the V12 Vantage at the head of the field. A lot of full throttle sections of this racetrack, albeit not particularly long straight. So I don't know if that is going to lend itself to the Vantage over the course of the full race distance or not. Of course, we will wait to see, but I'd love to hear your insights if you're watching with us and you're an experienced racer. What do you anticipate will be the situation then? Just to underline then, in the as Chaotica gives us that that start time of on the hour, 1 minute to go. Just to underline the situation then, Captain Eli not here to defend his 63-point total. Zen is 9 points away with the drop score, and looks like Zen has had some pretty good finishes here, so he will stand to only gain a few points over his lowest score. Zen really needing a podium or a win today, and that qualifying position is not going to help him. Glovas, though, could make it a 1-2 here for the team, and of course he has a Watkins Glen no score from the last round to drop, so it would be pure profit for Glovas whatever points he scores today. It's a really promising position for Glovas to be in, to steal the championship from third place coming in at the end here. But of course, I'm not going to claim any champions until we've had any post-race investigations or confirmations to come. But it's definitely going to be a very interesting one to chew down on. And once things are announced, I will try and drop them in the description of the video. But let me have your predictions today for this race as it stands on its own, as we get underway then and get everything ready for you on the screen. Hopefully we will go into the evening and we will have sufficient light to be able to see. It's time for the finale of this fantastic season 5.1 and the GTD Pros. 5 lights on. It's drop the clutch and go. Izzy with an immediate turn there towards the middle of the track and crowding out the Mercedes on the outside. Izzy very defensive. He may end up losing both positions, as up front we've got Komakopa and Glovas pushing hard onto the start of this race. The sun glinting off, the setting sun glinting off the cars with these beautiful camera angles. But Komakopa streaks into the lead. He's got the inside line going into turn 3 and 4. And there we have it. Komakopa ahead of Glovas. Fasia managing to resist Izzy, and Izzy managing to resist TX in terms of their run down into the first few corners. Looks like a Southwest livery for Izzy today, and it's TX, Chaotica and Vic 5th, 6th, 7th, with Junkai Zen up to 9th at the moment, Thrasher in 10th, K Morris, Dirksey, and then of course Saito at the back watching on and ready to head in towards pit road. Komakopa starting on the hard tyres, got that Z4 away absolutely beautifully in his classic Gilles Villeneuve Legends Motor Racing livery today, as this now looks like Glovas having a look down the inside into Le Pingle, into the hairpin. Komakopa leaves a gap. He will have the better traction on the outside of the circuit on the way out, but he will give up the slipstream down the long Casino Straight as we have a look at everybody coming through. I'll have a look at the start replay momentarily for you, but for now it's Glovas on board with Glovas as he tries to get that slipstream in effect. But at the moment on the hard tyres, not able to get the purchase on the rear wheels there for the Aston. Out on Le Pingle. Komakopa coming very close, having to lift the throttle. Glovas looking very good indeed on the way out, and it looks like he's got that inside line heading in towards turn 1. Can they continue to cooperate through this turn 1-2 switchback section, and Glovas into the lead of the race? Fantastic start from the two fastest qualifiers here to be trading places so well at the start of our race, and we've got some really clean battling going on as well. No major incidents at the start, but there was a big problem for Izzy, who peeled across to the right hand side, not really, as far as I can see, leaving enough space with the cars around him. What I'm going to do is have a look at this from the perspective of Fasia. You can see then Izzy steering right across, and there is zero room on the racetrack for Fasia, who keeps it planted, watches his teammate come straight at Izzy around the outside, and they coordinate beautifully, Liquid Death, to effectively block the track fantastically. But then you get a little bit of a wiggle on from the car on the outside there, and Izzy managing to retain that 4th position. Really fun start to the race for them, and now Izzy is hard pushing Komakopa down into Le Pingle. Izzy also on the hard tyres. Komakopa must have been a little bit caught out on the way through there, as we have a look down through the field. Everybody else managing to get away pretty neat and tidy. Here is Glovas then streaking away to a 1.1 second lead ahead of Komakopa and Izzy directly behind him. Izzy now in the Audi R8, which was a very interesting race car to run in previous seasons. I think it is quite a well balanced machine. It also sounds glorious. It's probably the best sounding GT3 car, I think, on the grid. Certainly in GT7 anyway. Globas ahead now, but Comacopa only ahead by 0.3 of a second from Izzy and Faciar, then Chaotica, Junkai, Speedstars, and Vic, your top 8. Comacopa is trying his best to cope with the pressure that Izzy is placing on him. The drivers will be trying to push all the way through to end of lap 15 before the safety car period closes the pit lane officially. It's not physically closed, but the drivers will have to take a penalty if they pit during the wrong lap. Chaotica in 5th, and Junkai here in the bright pink, can't miss it, Exxon Mobil colour scheme. TX though, having had difficulty out of turn 2, fighting with Izzy, is now down in 7th position on those hard tyres. Looks like everybody picking the hards as a way to go racing today. Certainly everyone touring in fairly close succession. No major accidents or incidents causing a break in the field. 1.6 seconds is perhaps the biggest gap in the field we have at the moment between P1 and P2. Globas absolutely on it here and gunning for a 1-2 in the championship, hoping to try and steal the championship away from Captain Eli by the end of everything. Remember that Globas in 3rd has a 0 score to drop of the 6 we've had so far. Rizaldi saying that challenging comment about the best sounding GT3. I absolutely am with you that the Porsche sounds the best in ACC, but in this game, in this sim, for me, it's the Audi. So, especially off board. Listen to that beautiful thing. The Porsche just doesn't sound as good in GT7, in my view. But yes, absolutely. Maybe you mean the 993, do you, Rizaldi? So that's possible. That I haven't spent a great deal of time watching and listening to that one. But yes, spitting out opinions left and right here as we go. And you're very, very welcome to disagree. As Junkai in 6th, fighting with TX, who has more pace, certainly had more pace in qualifying, and running through then and ahead then a Liquid Death Mercedes of TX. Oh, that was a difficult run through the piff-paff chicane of turns 8 and 9. Fabulous graphics here from GT7 on this new track as well. They've absolutely gone full commit to the fidelity of the visuals. I love the trackside views that they go for as well. Aqua Fresh is a blast from the past for me. That was our family toothpaste brand when I was a kid. I grew up with Aqua Fresh being a constant, that like siphon pump action thing that we had on the side of the sink my entire childhood. So that is a big deal for me. It's Globas 2.6 seconds now ahead of Comacopa. Remember, lap 17 is your safety car period. Comacopa, I think, getting those hard tyres into a good operating window now. Certainly able to bite down on the apex very nicely indeed on this BMW Z4. You'll notice that he's rocking for the Legend Motorsports team, they are rocking a Gilles Villeneuve era Ferrari F1 look. I did make the comment that it does look a lot better than the Ferrari did of the era. If you search Gilles Villeneuve Ferrari, you will see possibly one of the most ugly F1 cars ever produced. I would actually posit here. That particular era was absolutely atrocious. A huge T-tray on the front, resembling nothing like a front wing. 3 seconds is Globas' lead in P1, and it's Comacopa further back. But Globas is going faster than anybody out front. He's just showing off here. Doesn't need to be doing this, but he's absolutely stamping his authority. Just loving it out front, as the sun will hopefully be setting for us here. Junkai Speedstars Zen 6th, 7th, 8th, with his Vic in 9th in the Audi. Then Thrasher ahead of Dirksey, and we wait for Saito to show what he's made of in the safety car duties. Here is Glovas. There's a really neat little detail. That's huge for Komakopa. Komakopa, the first driver into the wall of champions, had no option with the wall out there but to drive across the race surface. Let's see how that happened. But I watched it nose straight into the barrier. Too much of the first chicane of this first bump. A very strange spin off to the right. As he's damaged the engine as well, so that is going to lose him a whole bunch of positions. He's not going to like the fact that I saw it, and we're going to watch it. But Komakopa down to 10th place. Performance back up to normal now, but that was a massive moment for Komakopa. He'll just be glad it's happened before the safety car, I believe. It looks like hieroglyphics possibly on this car. I don't know if that is reminiscent of anything for perfect pace, but maybe it is the Egyptian feline sphinx-like, and the Egyptians did celebrate cats as gods, didn't they? So maybe that's the theory behind today's livery for perfect pace. That's perfect with 2 R's. As we run through, then it's Izzy in second with Fasia, Chaotica and Junkai on your screen right now. An all Canadian display here for Junkai. I don't know how many of our drivers wearing the stars and stripes. Wish they were one of their northern neighbours at the moment. We'll wait and see if anyone decides to admit such. But there you have a very nice Canada celebration livery for Chaotica. What happened to K Morris? Well, yeah, probably the usual, and he joins in. Sorry, Mr. Morris, that sucks once again for you. It allowed you to qualify this time, but damn, yeah, once again, K Morris let down by his Jamaican internet. It's making him crazy. It's Izzy in P2, Fasia, Chaotica and Junkai, the closest triplicate of drivers, I think, right now, as they work the wheel, go through lap 7. Fastest lap so far, 38.544. As we run, that is with Globas, of course. TX in 6th, Zen in 7th. We've got Vic in 8th. Komakopa now in 9th place, did get ahead of the Peugeot, which we'll be glad about. Despite the fact that his French national pride is at stake there for the Peugeot RCZ, but it looks like just strangely this track not a good one for the RCZ. Behind him you've got Dirksey in the Supra, and wearing for Iowa State University sports livery right now. Globas out front, 6.2 seconds. He has absolutely nailed this track to start here. The first time the drivers have really tackled this one in the GT World Challenge, although I would imagine that Globas, in one of the many series he competes in with Deviant, has already tackled this racetrack. I love the use of the wing design for Aston Martin on the rear window of the V12 Vantage there. We'll get up close and personal with those liveries later on, but as I say, we're working towards lap 17. Here is Izzy in the matte blue Southwest Team Jetstream livery. I've been loving the aviation related theme, and I say this one could run and run, be like our Mountain Dew team, and come back every year as far as I'm concerned. You can see that Chaotica, if you have a really close look at his feed, you can see he's still wearing his beer carts livery helmet. Whoa, what's happened there? Junkai. Well, okay, I think we just had a lag moment, because I don't see him managing to complete that one. It looked like he went straight into the wall, possibly just a momentary drop on his connection here. Let's have a look as he goes to turn in. Yeah, straight back. Okay. I thought perhaps he'd had a mechanical failure there for a moment, but sadly not. Sadly, it was just a graphic glitch there for us from our perspective. He may not have even seen anything run amiss there. Plenty of stickers on that car. We've got Zen holding off Vic right now, but perhaps not for very long. Zen in P7, So it needs nothing short, I think, of P2 or even a win today to try and take the championship. Astonishing set of huge spike. Absolutely, yeah, it really was. As Vic and Zen go side by side down the famous Casino Straight, heading in towards the chicane. Looks like Vic has got enough of the car ahead to get into the final chicane. Wow, I don't know if Vic lost it on his own there or he was helped into that by Zen, but he takes the position in with some style. In fact, let's have a look at this from Zen's perspective. I don't know if we will be able to see. Yeah, well, certainly from that point of view, it did look like there was no contact between the two of them, but a great hold there ultimately by Vic, who was able to slam the steering the opposite direction, but the car is really loose, and he puts in a huge slide through the slow chicane as well. As Astonishing saying, Junkai is fighting to stay out of the relegation race. Vic is really not able to get a handle on the car right now as Zen goes back through into P7, and all that hard work that Vic did to get ahead is undone at this stage. So yeah, several drivers trying to stay out of the relegation point here. It is a race off between the P2 and 3 in the GTDs and the final positions there. Kuroskai saying Junkai showing up is half the battle. I'm sure he'll appreciate that one, Kuroskai, as I'm sure you do, me reading it out. I see Vic's Pizza still a big sponsor of the team there, as he is presumably desperate to get off these hard tyres, following Zen, who seems to be suffering top speed here down the CGV Casino Straight in towards this this very tricky chicane. You want to be able to just touch those Cheeto curbs but not go over them. Use them to help the car round the corner, but without actually climbing those curbs at all. As the headlights have come on, Vic's car, I think that looks like a manual switch on that he's done. Here we go. Globas leading by 7.6 seconds from the Jetstream Southwest sponsored Audi R8 of Izzy. We've got Faciar in P3 and Chaotica in 4th. And then this gap has just opened out to about a second between each car. Junkai then trying to stave off the relegation race. Saito saying they were putting an engine in the lemon stand and eating chili flavored ice cream. Wow, that's I'm a chili guy. I'm a spice aficionado, but I don't think I would want it in my ice cream. I don't like it in my chocolate, so that's definitely an acquired taste. Here we go then, round the outside. Vic still looking incredibly ragged. Partly this might be down to his controller usage, and he decides not to go round the outside. Goes for a beautiful switchback, gets the traction down like crazy on the inside line out of Le Pingle, and that was one of the best switchbacks you're ever likely to see with Vic out there. Let's have a look at this. He goes to turn in, gives it up, and then you'll see him just come straight back down the inside line and right with Zen, and a great timed run there from Vic, passing cleaner, and hopefully this time, having made the pass, staying ahead. But he's 19.3 seconds away from Globas's lead. Thrasher's in 9th place in the sister RCZ to Zen in the 87, and Dirksey is following him along. It looks like Komakopum has had either another issue, well, he hasn't changed tyres, so I would imagine this looks like Komakopa has been off the circuit again. No damage on the car right now, but it looks like Komakopa dropping down to absolute last, if you don't count our safety car driver, obviously. Globas, 9.1 seconds the lead of Globas at the moment. I'm just looking at the timing. I think we will possibly be just on halfway point when we get to that lap 17 safety car period. Keep thinking the way that that Izzy's race number is on the blue, it kind of looks like it's a Lego sponsor on this side of the car. There you go. Rizaldi says chili flavored, never had, but anything with chili you're down. Nice. Okay, I'd love to say the same, but it's a strictly savoury thing, chili for me. Mixing it with sweet foods is definitely not on the cards for me at all. Looks like Chaotic are celebrating the Olympic event that was held at Montreal. You see the geodesic dome shape that you often see in wide-angle shots here at CGV. Was the Olympic structure built for the Montreal games. Here is Chaotica in P4, Junkai 0.6 of a second away. Behind him, Facial 0.6 of a second in front of him as we go out wide onto the it's got everybody talking now, the the foods. So yeah, Skyline chili I haven't tried, of course. Greek meat sauce on noodles flavoured ice cream. What on earth? Greek meat sauce on noodles flavoured ice cream. What on earth are you talking about, Saito? That's insane. There's fusing food, and then there's just throwing things in a pot with AI recipe, isn't there? Junkai in P5, Speedstars in 6th, with Zen in 7th there. Needing a really good result, Zen, to try and win this championship. At the moment, though, Globas looking like he's going to take it. Vic in P8, Thrasher in 9th, Dirksy in 10th, and Komakopa now trying to catch this group once again. Komakopa without any change of tyres. He's still on the initial hard tyres. They have to use the hards and the mediums. They can use the softs if they so desire and want to make it a two-stop and switch onto the softs. We may see that later on. But Globas just out there, just stamping his authority for just absolute no other reason than the sheer pleasure of it, because he knows that the field is going to close up pretty soon, as it is doing so for the rest of the podium here. Izzy ahead of Fascia and Chaotica on lap 13, and the sun is setting, but it's setting incredibly slowly. So I hope that it has been worth me turning the exposure up temporarily on the game here, because I always get complaints it's too dark if I don't. Yeah, astonishing being reprimanded there for not properly venerating Skyline Chili. Hard on the throttle down this mini straightaway before heading under the bridge. In the F1 games, that section of Armco sticks out even further on the under the bridge. But it's still a frightening prospect when your eyes are on your braking zone and then the apex. Just at that moment, you can knock off a wing mirror. As we go through, then Fascia looking like he has a strong chance of podium out there today. So everybody choosing the same strategy. It looks like Chaotica has really used the fuel though. Look at his fuel down to the final, probably, I would say. That looks like 5% of his fuel remaining. May not even get an extra lap out of this one, and straight into the pit lane ahead of schedule here for Chaotica, temporarily taking the position because it is much faster to enter the pit lane than to go through the final chicane. And then Chaotica, the first driver in the Ferrari in the new 296 to have his fuel tank run out. That will be the one advantage that the RCZs have got today. You can see Vic in his final 10% of fuel as well. Thrasher in 9th, Dirksy in 10th, and Komakopa in the BMW Z4. No fuel problems there for, of course, Saito. And then we've got Globas also running low on his fuel. Astonishing saying my finance. I didn't know that if that was a typo between finance and fiance, but finance said to go to Coney Island for a real Coney dog. Okay. We have Globas then. Surely this sun is going to set. It is very much golden hour as the headlights are also coming on the cars. It's Izzy just 0.6 of a second ahead here. It probably suits Fascia not to be challenging here at the moment. He is saving that little bit more fuel and be able to really launch a couple of hot laps then and gain track position. There is the geodesic dome I was talking about in the background. built for the Montreal Olympics. And it is full throttle then, 36 minutes and a half, 3/4 left to run then of the race as Globas pits from the lead with 4 litres of fuel remaining on the car. And we finally get into the final 10% of fuel for Fassiar. Izzy and Fassiar take the head of the field then, temporarily, of course, for the pit stops to take effect. Globas is still in receiving fuel at the moment. Junkai goes up to P3, probably just the 1 lap of fuel left on the Supra for the Team Crude Awakening, big oil-sponsored race cars. Here comes Zen up to P4, the RCZ being typically very fuel economic, and the Aquafresh car here. I think this is like this is choosing toothpaste after a 5-race run of high sugar foods. I think that's probably the key here, to look after their teeth following a very unhealthy 5 races. I did ask for a Twix livery for Team Sugar Rush. It looks like we're not going to get that unless the GTDs have managed to do it, or I missed it last week for the last race for the GTDs. Thrasher in P6 and Komakopa in P7 after that couple, what I imagine to be 2 separate incidents there, where he's dropped down from essentially the lead at one point in this race so far. It's still, all is not lost because of that safety car coming out in a couple of laps time. Everybody, I imagine, who hasn't been in yet will be in at the end of this lap 15 to take on fuel. You can see Vic has come out on the soft tyres for a moment. Some drivers will do this if they're not comfortable running the mediums all the way to the end. A 3-second penalty for TX. That is a pit lane exit or entry infraction. That's crossing the white line on the way in or the way out of the pit lane. So that will hurt, but not too much. Sorry to say that. Izzy, Fassiar, Junkai and Zen are in the pit lane, so that will mean that Globas will of course be able to just tour around in a high gear at this stage, take the lead of the race, grab that lead, and then just hold position. Doesn't need to really do anything here because his lead will be cut whatever he decides to do. Globas in the Aston Martin, as Binkit tells me, no Twix this time. Well, I kind of feel like turning the stream off now, Binkit, after that crushing news. My favourite chocolate bar, that, as a kid. But I will carry on. I will carry on. I will stay strong. It is 13 seconds the lead of Globas in P1 ahead of Izzy, who has just managed to stay ahead of Fassiar there by 0.3 of a second. These two are not switching off. Medium tyres for both of them. They will hope that they can get 33 minutes out of the mediums. I don't think they will out of the fuel tank by the look of things. So it will be a 2-stopper unless they can perform an absolute miracle with the fuel. Chaotica very close here to the podium as well as they head under the tunnel. It's got to be an interesting place to stand as a marshal under that short tunnel. And there you can see the choice of helmet for the beer carts, Mario Kart style karting that Chaotica is using. This track, of course, really heavily using the left-hand tyres on the car, given that most of the turns are to the right. There's really no high wear left-hand corner. Here is Chaotica right on the button there as we wait for the safety car. Where is our safety car? He has come out. The question is, has he come out early enough to get ahead of Globas? Globas will see him out of the corner of his eye, and then they will close in as the drivers behind do go through in the same order as they started. And we can have a look at our liveries, so do let me know then what you think of these liveries. I think that wing design on the back window is genius. I love the way they've incorporated that. And it does look like, now we can get really close to the cars, it does look like Egyptian hieroglyphics on the car there. So very nice colour coordination with those Dunlop tyres as well. Yeah, looking good for Team Perfect Pace out there. Then you've got the Southwest livery. I feel like we could have made a bit more of the stripe at the back of the car. Sorry, with the walls, it really hurts us making this look this view of the car, but it's really nice. I like the very simple look. But that 182 at speed, red on blue, does kind of look like the Lego logo. So maybe stick a Lego logo right next to that, which is easy for me to say, not. There you've got the Team Liquid Death unchanged again in the Mercedes AMG. Not even a special sticker for the season finale. Do better, Liquid Death, do better. Then we've got this special one in the Enzo Motorsports Milano Cortina 26 Olympics. I don't know if Chaotica has any special reason to celebrate the Olympics, but a matte red on matte black Canadian special livery there for Chaotica. Although, of course, I do believe the USA beat Canada in their favourite sport for the gold this season. With the bright pink Exxon Mobil, I'm just going looking for any specific stickers for this Circuit Gilles Villeneuve season finale, and I'm not seeing any, sadly. On the Exxon car. Liquid Death again, we won't spend much more time on that one, but this would look crazy going around Paul Ricard, wouldn't it, this Aquafresh livery? I love what they've done with this one. I wonder if the blue and the red stripes are separate stickers, or they found an Aquafresh stripes view, and there you can see, yeah, very much telling everybody to brush their teeth after a season of Sugar Rush. And there's a nice colour match Webbo sticker on the front there, and the Glovas famous phrase across the top of the car as well. I can see Motubo sponsoring there as well. Celebrating our Canadian teammate, says K Morris. Nice, okay, cool. If it ain't Boeing, I'm not going. On Vic's car for the Southwest, and also the Vic's pizza sponsor on the roof. You can just about make it out, but not very well on this camera angle. But a few more details there, and a big thank you for the Webbo.com sticker on the rear wing as well, on the end plate. This is the special Gilles Villeneuve livery for Legend Motor Racing. Managed to find all those period stickers as well, although the one on the roof is a little bit off period and off theme. I'm sorry about the camera, it's these walls that are doing it for me. But the number 72 there, he was Gilles Villeneuve made the number 27 famous for Ferrari, so I wonder whether Komakopu was tempted to reverse those numbers or make them a mirror image. Jim saying, and former Canadian teammates as well. Yeah, of course, Jim. I'm sure they still love you, really. And then the one livery we haven't looked at yet is the Iowa State University livery for, I'm guessing, basketball March Madness. Am I right? But yeah, this one issuing all theme for the season in the Supra. Looks like Big Oil have abandoned Dirksey for this one, but he has remembered the Penzl style Webbo.com sticker there. And then we'll go back to Saito, who is heading the field at the moment. This is essentially, I think it's lap 18 now. It is lap 18 for the drivers. Of course, only lap 3 for Saito, doing his out lap and his in lap at the start of the race. But he will go off to the pit lane. I would imagine those lights will turn off, or the hazards will turn off at least. Looks like Glovas is warming up the tyres on the mediums. A lot of tyre warm-up needed on those medium tyres. Just going to check no one else has stayed on the... Well, hard tyres for Junkai. Soft tyres for Vic. Look out for Vic then as we run through this one. Saito has gone on the soft tyres. And we go green for the second half of our race then, as we get out of that Wall of Champions exit of the corner. Looks like Vic on those soft tyres is the one on the move, on the hunt for a manoeuvre here against his main rival today has been Zen. They've been stuck on the same portion of the racetrack frequently through here. And there, oh, it's a spill. It's a spill for Junkai at the worst possible moment. Unfortunately, Junkai down to dead last here. Let's have a look how that went down as he goes through the next corner. Did he get tagged possibly, or was it all by himself. There is a tiny little touch there, and that might have been enough to spill the car. He won't be happy. It was a liquid death car that got him out there, unfortunately. So Junkai down, losing 3.2 seconds to the P10 car. And then you can definitely see that the sun is setting, but I just still don't know if it's going to be nice and dark by the time we get to the end of the race. I think I may have turned up the exposure too much for today's race, but hopefully we'll see something special on the way through. So Jim, are you in Montreal or are you somewhere else? We've got a big move coming. There it goes. There goes Vic down the inside of Zen. Looked like he wasn't sure whether to go for the move, and then Zen wasn't sure whether he was going for the move and left the gap on the inside. So very sensible endurance racing from both of them to avoid an incident. Junkai very unfortunate as he comes through there, and Astonishing just saying, yeah, poor Junkai. That was unfortunate. Let me know what you think. Was that sufficient contact to upset the rear of the car? Looks like he caught the car and then it lost again. No traction, says Kuroskai. So he's sort of thinking that the contact with the Mercedes was not necessarily entirely to blame. Zen can't get the move done. Komakopa, that is an uncharacteristic dive bomb, and he wasn't happy with it. So he did lift and allow Zen to hold position there. Yeah, he wasn't happy with that move, I think, Komakopa. So managed to do the sporting thing after just going for a gap. And you can never blame a driver for going for a gap. There's a great catch from Thrasher on the way out. Looks like cold tyres, very problematic for the drivers at the moment, but of course they got the hard tyres out of the way early, which was sensible given the cooler temperatures as the sun sets here. Junkai now 2.5 seconds away from Dirksy's P10. Glovas, though, will put the hammer down right now. He needs to put the gap on to end anybody's hopes of taking the win today. 38.3 is his fastest lap on the hard tyres. He's on course for another fast lap here, and possibly the fastest so far as he comes through Le Pingle, and so do the rest of the drivers then follow through on this second hot lap after the safety car period. Zen and Komakopa. Zen going backwards when he really needs to be heading in the forward direction in order to take this title, but Glovas looking like it will be his to secure this season, taking part in 5 races of the 6, but so has his teammate Captain Eli. So he will no score guaranteed today, and he'll just be watching today at some point or this week to find out how the race went down and whether he can call himself a champion or not. At the moment, it's looking like it's all going the way of Glovas from P3 in the championship to take the win in the end. But of course, time will tell, and he'll have the pressure of taking a title on his shoulders, and not much else to think about being out there in front. So there is always that factor when you trying to take the title off someone that's not on the track with you, and you are dominant on the racetrack today. Beautiful design this time out from Perfect Pace. Here is Izzy trying to hold off Fascia, who's looking very threatening indeed. Reminder that Vic is on the soft tyres. Looks like most drivers, well, I would imagine all drivers are going to need to use a third set of tyres and a little bit of a refuel. So we may see some soft tyres at the end of the race. But of course, no more pace car, safety car happening today. And there is Chaotica in P4. TX behind him, looking like it's a great point haul day for Liquid Death and for Jetstream here at the GTDPRO top tier. That was Vic taking a penalty, so that will hurt all the way down this casino straight. Behind him, you've got Zen still holding off Komakopa for now anyway. Komakopa will have a really unsighted, difficult view of that final chicane, and this is where he went for his dive bomb earlier on. We'll see if he gets a better run. It looks like Zen and Komakopa fairly equal out of that chicane. Komakopa shaping to the inside, but doing enough there. I think he sold a dummy to Zen, and Zen bought it full bore there, but managed to hold on at this stage anyway. And Komakopa, I imagine, chuckling to himself there because he wasn't seriously going for a move, But it was the contact-making dive bomb of the previous lap that probably spooked Zen at that stage. I'm sure Zen will comment when he watches the video later that that's not the case at all. But at the moment, Komakopa, the meat and a toothpaste sandwich with Zen and Thrasher in front and behind of him. Yeah, we are going to get into some evening running then, as the camera angles here do tend to favour us getting headlights directly in our eyes for some portion of this race. Here is Glovas going through Le Pingle, the tight hairpin in the second sector. Or is it actually the third sector? I think it's the third sector, isn't it? Down there. And we have Izzy just getting a small gap ahead of Fascia. Look like we're going to have a good run here with plenty of action before the end of the race, with Izzy, Fascia, Speedstars, Chaotica and Vic all in fairly close proximity. TX has got himself ahead of Chaotica there. Don't know if I'm going to be in time to catch that in the replay. Buffer. No, he's already got past the Ferrari, but looks like possibly Chaotica. He's on the medium tyres, and the only one on the softs is Vic, but those softs are going off very quickly. He didn't fill the tank of fuel, but he perhaps overfilled the fuel tank, Vic, during the safety car. But he'll have taken a view that refueling during the safety car will cost him less time than refueling at race pace. Saito saying, I timed that beautifully. Okay. I wonder if Glovas will agree post-race and whether he had to lift on the way through. Zen still just ahead of Komakopa. Thrasher a little bit distant here. Komakopa just plotting his next move. We'll join him perhaps from chase view. Quick check behind. I love the little rivets on the rear wing there. That's a great detail that Komakopa has added from the 1970s Ferrari driven by Gilles Villeneuve. Are we shaping for a possible move? We're certainly trying to indicate to Zen that we might go for the gap here. Junkai and Hards too, and he's the only one, says Saito. Yeah, well, Junkai having to do something a little bit different today. Looks like he's gone, I think Junkai's gone hard so far, so he'll have to switch to the mediums. But just under 20 minutes left to go. Zen defending the inside line hard here, as Komakopa will let him go through. I thought they were going to run side by side, but Komakopa didn't want to force the issue. This is going to put him in a really vulnerable position now to Thrasher behind. But maybe the BMW has sufficient straight line speed for Komakopa to not worry too much about it. He'll be thinking about whether that move was on. I think that move might have been on to hold firm around the outside there. The evening sun glinting off a river I can't name on the outside of Montreal, here at the island circuit, very similar to the likes of Albert Park in Melbourne. The way that this Olympic Park, with its lake and river setting, is positioned here for the drivers at this circuit. Gilles Villeneuve. Izzy still just about managing to hold off Fascia. We will see the benefit of the temporary exposure, but right now, obviously, the headlights are blindingly bright. Oh, thanks, Binkit. Appreciate that. That's very very kind of you. Tips are very well received and welcome. So I'm very grateful for that. That's wonderful. You can always hit that thanks button or do it post race if you so wish. There's also some cool merch you can view through the links in the description as well if you want to pick up something. I've got a new T-shirt saying "A win with Webbo hits different," which you might like the look of if you've won a race this season. It's Izzy in P2 ahead of Fascia, 0.2 of a second only. Glovas though 6 whole seconds ahead. St Lawrence River, thank you very much. I knew that does ring a bell now you say it. So I'm sure in all the Canadian Grand Prix I've watched over the years, I've heard it said many times, but it definitely escaped me for a moment. Thank you so much, Rizaldi. It's good to get you guys to help out here from time to time. 6.2 seconds Glovis's lead over this battle. Izzy and Facia second and third, TX in fourth, and Chaotica in fifth. Zen is a fair distance away with Comacopa and Thrasher. Another battle pack right now. Binkit. Not necessarily this season, any season, Binkit. But anyway, it's Globas, Izzy, Facia and TX currently. Chaotica just slightly far away from this group. Chaotica hosting today. Big thank you to him for his hard work through the season. It's actually quite a tricky thing to do, especially if you're the driving in the races as well. You do give up a little bit of practice time, a little bit of warm-up time. When everyone else is warming up prior to qualifying, you are just checking that everyone's here, that everything's working properly, and you've got the settings perfect. Oh, that's a big slam in the rear as they both, I think, head towards pit road. Let's have a look at that one again. This is, let's have a look from Izzy's point of view, and we'll just see. I think both drivers headed towards pit road, neither actually indicating, but looks like Izzy braked. He did brake into the pit lane, and that really caught Facia out. Or was it actually that Facia was pitting and Binkit never intended to? That's pretty huge, actually. I'm saying Binkit, it's Facia, and Izzy didn't intend to, I should say. So I wonder if that's the situation there for Izzy, who will, for a few moments there, would have had diffuser damage. But right now, Izzy's in P2s, TX in third. And that was clumsy, I think, from Facia. If he'd put his blinkers on, you can't go full throttle into the pit lane if there's a car in front of you not pitting. I think essentially, I don't know what the pre-race briefing was to the drivers, whether they considered that worth saying or, you know, not required. It didn't bear bothering to instruct the drivers on that one. But it looks like Zen is still defending hard here from Comacopa, and I expect these drivers are just feeling pretty happy with how this is going. It's got to be an absolute thrill ride to be in close quarters for so long here. There you can see the St. Lawrence River. I believe Grand Prix teams build rafts and race across, or at least there was a tradition of that. In towards that final chicane, neither of these two drivers pitting, as that is a good contender for closest to the wall challenge there from Zen. In fact, I think he may have had to hold off the throttle because there was a slight panic, as now Comacopa can finally go down the inside into turn one, nice and clean, and through into turn two ahead of Zen. And Comacopa finally then up to P4. We'll be thinking about his final pit stop to come in the final 14 minutes of the race. But Comacopa, remember, dead last at one stage this race. He's managed to claw his way back to P4 after competing for the pole position. Started on the front row, Comacopa, and that is no mean feat. Obviously, the safety car helps condense the field, but he's come up from the back here with a good strategy to get up ahead of Zen, who is not letting this place go at all. There was a possible touch there between the two of them, not entirely certain, but it looks like different day-night conditions as you go under the tunnel. I wonder if there was a touch there between the two of them. Let's have another look here on the way into the under the tunnel, possibly. If I try and use this camera angle, we should see. Yeah, there was a touch, but it was well ahead of the braking zone, but it seemed to precipitate Comacopa overshooting the corner, and then he gets another nudge in the rear from Zen on the way out of turn 9 as well. So yeah, definitely manifesting a win for you there, Binkit, absolutely. And back into pro as well, so that'd be cool. Anyway, we've got Comacopa in P4, Chaotica in the pit lane right now. He overtook these cars for a moment thanks to that fast entry to the pit lane. And down into turn 1 then, Comacopa has finally opened up a good enough gap to not worry about a move coming from Zen and can focus on his own race. What chance a podium here for Comacopa, I wonder. Izzy also racing in the VR helmet, is running P2. He's in no man's land with a big gap in front and behind. Glovas, though, leads this evening race at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve out on 9.8 seconds in the Aston Martin into the last quarter of his fuel tank with 12 minutes to go. If anyone's going to make this work on a one-stopper, it'll be Glovas, I would imagine, with the amount of fuel he's got and the gap he's got at the front. We shall see as the drivers finish up. I don't see this BMW making it to the end. The RCZ may, I suppose. It's possible, with Chaotica in 6th place then coming around the chicane. Fassiar following through with his teammate. Fassiar on new medium tyres, new load of fuel. Now, they've both put a huge amount of fuel left for 11.5 minutes left in this race. They've got a massive amount of fuel, and Glovas into the pits then, and playing it very safe. And who would blame him out in front of the race? Vic in 9th, also on the new medium tyres, with Junkai in 10th place now, trying to avoid relegation, but a 10th place probably won't make that happen. You can see Vic just weaving the car around dangerously, trying to get these medium tyres up to temperature. He's not happy with them, I think, at this point. He didn't fancy a set of softs for the end of the race either. Dirksey, also most recent promotee here from GTD, may find himself in that relegation battle as well. We do have guaranteed, well, I say guaranteed, but one season we decided to re-qualify everybody. But yeah, I do think that we have the chance here for guaranteed promotion for the champion of GTD, so they do not have to take part in that competitive race. Izzy leads the race at the moment then, thanks to that pit stop from Glovas, who's back out on the track in P3. And it has decided on a set of medium tyres and just over half a tank of fuel to see him out of this race. You can see the mobile crane there on the inside of the circuit, ready to clear any cars with the concrete walls either side. On this temporary racetrack, it is, I believe it's like a public road setup. I can see lane discipline at least shown on one of the overpasses when you look back at it. But it looks like this Parkland circuit is not a permanent fixture, so we have these mobile catch fencing and concrete walls all the way around the circuit. Chaotica in P4, Fassiar ahead of his teammate TX, and they are 37 seconds away from Izzy, who has not pitted. These two drivers absolutely have in the Mercedes AMG. So looking to get that position in a good place. We've got Komakopa pitting from P2, and he will hope to come out in front of Zen in P7. Zen's gone for the softs though. I think one of the first drivers I've seen, well, TX has gone for the softs as well. Zen's gone for those soft tyres to try and undercut the pit stop of Komakopa. That almost looked like that was in the wall there from Zen. Let's wait to see as he heads towards the... there you can just see Komakopa coming out of the pit lane. I think he's going to clear Zen and then find his way to try and get these tyres up to temperature. Where is Komakopa? Did Komakopa have an issue coming out of the car? No, he got ahead of Fassiar and TX. Wow! That was absolutely perfect for Komakopa to pit and come out in front of these drivers. Komakopa now on the soft tyres, but they're cold. And Fassiar having a look down the inside at an unusual place to make the overtake. And there you see Fassiar on the medium tyres struggle. His teammate goes straight through to absolutely take the battle to Komakopa in P4. We're waiting though for Izzy to make his pit stop. Will Izzy leave it too late possibly? As we go here to a finish here in the final 8 minutes of the race. Izzy now pits out in P1. Let's just have a look at Izzy's last lap times. 39.38.9. That's pretty quick for him. 37.9 was the best from Glovas prior to his pit stop, and Chaotica a 38.0. It is so tight between these two here to see if this is Chaotica, excuse me, and see if Komakopa can get anywhere near Izzy on the pit exit. We'll have a look as he comes through. We'll have a look, see what Komakopa can see. Maybe we'll look from TX's point of view. There, coming out of the pit lane, is one driver anyway, and that is Izzy. That's the blue Southwest colour scheme of Team Jetstream, Izzy's Audi R8, and it is well ahead of Komakopa and Chaotica. So Chaotica on those soft tyres in the Ferrari 296 looks like he's on for a good podium finish at this stage, and going faster than anybody in sector 1. Komakopa seems to be unable to get quite the same amount of performance out of this BMW Z4 as the Mercedes AMG, driven by TX on the same soft tyres, is managing at this stage, and using every inch of the racetrack and a couple more, kicking up a little bit of dirt in the face of TX. Legitimate tactic, and thankfully the grass and the dirt is dry here in Montreal today. Not always the case at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It is always the case in Gran Turismo 7, sadly. But if any racetracks deserve rain, it would be Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for me, and Interlagos, where it most frequently rains and we have wet races to watch. I don't quite understand it, but it's lap 31. We're into the final 6 minutes of our GTD Pro race. Today we will have the GTD race coming up very quickly after this stream, and then I will have to run to my next stream as well. So I'll have a lobby full of drivers waiting to take part in their next GT race as well. That one will be straight away on a different channel, not on my channel. If you're interested in staying with us, I'm sure that some of you would be very interested in the presentation, certainly, of that race. Anyway, Vic in P9 and Junkai in P10, fighting hard for these final points out here, and lower order points at the moment. Vic has been very quick today, but you can tell he's driving a controller, or he's got terrible internet lag. But that uncharacteristic jerky manoeuvring of the car, very much about a driver on controller just constantly making corrections, where your hands naturally smoothen that out when you're racing on a racing wheel. It's Glovas in the lead by an incredible 12.5 seconds after the pace car. He has been unbeatable today, Glovas. This is an absolute tour de force from him. Looking to try and take the title away from his teammate Captain Eli, and of course from Zen, who looks like he's not going to be able to feature in the championship picture. Zen looking like it's possibly going to be a P3 in the championship this season. A former champion himself though, Zen, so he knows what putting a championship together is all about. I'm still hoping though to get a kind of a view of the total points from all 3 seasons in a year, as to who is the sort of king of each year in Deviant. I don't know if anyone is considering doing any of those calculations, but it'd be really interesting to know if you do any sort of entire season standings. I know there's like a Hall of Fame for all time, but it's a little bit different when you consider how each driver has gone throughout the entire years of racing. Denoted by the season first number, we divide each year into 3 mini seasons usually. Here it's Thrasher in P8. He's got Zen ahead of him. He's got Vic behind of him. And Junkai looking like he's going to take, well, a big problem for Junkai. He's got damage on the car at the moment. Let's see what happened here. Turns in to chicane. Oh, he's struggling, isn't he, with traction in these cool temperatures, unfortunately. There, Kuroskai just telling me what I've missed while I'm replaying it. Well, thank you, Kuroskai, anyway. I'm doing my best here to capture everything that's happening. It's 13 clear seconds now for Glovas. 2 and 3/4 minutes remain, so 2 laps it will be for Glovas then. This will be the penultimate lap beginning. Some drivers won't make that final lap, I think. Izzy ahead in P2 of Chaotica, and Komakopa still hasn't really gone far enough clear of TX to be safe, and hasn't been able to catch Chaotica either. But I think Komakopa might well take P4 today as damage limitation, given that he was at the back before the safety car period after 2 incidents in the first half of the race. So really I'm enjoying the Legend Motorsports theme this season, and especially this special for Gilles Villeneuve himself and of course the Ferrari team. Although I have to say that Enzo Motorsports really should only be showing those Ferrari colours this season, as then the 2 Aquafresh sponsored Peugeot RTZs come through in that 7th and 8th positions. Vic in the Southwest Audi P9 with Dirksey and Junkai. They're going to keep everything interesting at the end of this race here, I would imagine. And there goes Dirksey, a little bit long on the brakes into the slowest, I think, chicane, well, slowest chicane at the middle of the circuit. Junkai invited to have a look down the inside here on the way into turn 8, but Dirksey holds on just ahead and hanging on at the moment. And I think these drivers might well just make it home, make it around to be able to compete over the final lap of our race. Dirksey ahead of Junkai, but both drivers probably heading towards that relegation battle before the end of the season, before the start of season 5.3. 5.2. We've got a charity race. Sorry, not a charity race. We've got a team versus team race coming up. I think it is April 12th or thereabouts, and then we will announce details of season 5.2 as soon as everything is planned out for you. Globas ahead by 15.7 seconds from Izzy on this final lap of this final race of season 5.1. Chaotica in 3rd place with Komakopa only just 0.3 of a second ahead of TX. Komakopa, but TX has used his tyres much more, but he certainly looks like the faster of the 2 drivers at this stage of proceedings. They're very close in ultimate performance and the previous lap as well, but Komakopa cannot buy himself a bit of luck today, it seems. Here comes Globas to win at an absolute canter in the Aston Martin for perfect pace. He's coming down into the final chicane, and he is weaving around as if the race is already run. But out of the chicane, avoids the wall of champions, and might pitch this into a celebratory spin before the end. Across the line he goes to win it at the final race of the season here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada. Izzy stays just within the white lines and stays in P2. I think he'll be pleased with that performance. Chaotica looks very happy as well to finish on the podium in the final race. Komakopa will finish Komakopa runs out of fuel again just before the line. TX steals it there as they head towards the line, and that is one of those horrible moments for Komakopa. He tries to block on the chicane. I think he knew his fuel was done and watched the car just stop dead, essentially. And there goes Fassiar to get him by about 5 car lengths at the line. Absolutely horrible for Komakopa to work that hard and come home in 5th. Fassiar in 6th, Zen in 7th, ahead of Thrasher, and here comes Vic to take home P9. Junkai managed to get Dirksey at the end there. Let's see if we can't catch that as well in the replay buffer. I think he got it done into the final corner. I think he did. Amazing stuff from Junkai. There is Globas winning everything today, just every single thing. Absolutely brilliant from Globas, and he's through. And I think we'll probably secure the championship title, but we will confirm that later for you once everything is done and dusted. Here then is your provisional result. Globas winning by a huge 16 seconds from Izzy in P2. Chaotica in 3rd, TX in 4th, Komakopa home in 5th, running out of fuel on the line. Fassiar in 6th, Zen 7th. Won't be enough, I think, Zen to take home the next score to take home P2 in the championship. I think that will belong to Eli or Globus, and then Thrasher home in 8th. Kurtzquist turning everything around very quickly for me, and I appreciate it, but it means we can't display the bottom half of the field. But thank you to everybody for your attention so far today. We'll be switching the next stream on as soon as humanly possible. We might be running a little bit ahead of schedule as well to accommodate my schedule today. So, and a big thank you to everyone's patience for that. But from us here at Deviant, from me, Webbo, thank you so much for watching. We will catch you on the next race day.